Hi guys, today we are going to talk about how to fill out your reading schedule for your independent novel, and then we are going to review the Literature Circle discussion sheet that you guys filled out last week for the positive excerpt. We're going to talk about how you're going to do that for your independent novel going forward over the next several weeks. So let's first start with your calendar. On this document, you'll see a color-coded week-by-week reading schedule that you are going to make specific for your own book. Okay, so I'm going to use the book, The Red Queen, just to kind of show you guys how to do this. So let's start. Today is October 12th, and today is our first day of reading. Okay, so every single day on the calendar, we are going to put pages that we are expecting ourselves to read. So there's going to be some self-accountability here that we are holding ourselves to what we put on our reading schedule. Okay, so my book is 388 pages. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks to read this. You guys don't have school this week for Thanksgiving break, so we're not counting that. So we have 7 weeks. Okay, and I have 388 pages. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 388 and divide it by 7 because that's how many weeks I have. So I have to read about 56 pages a week in order to finish my book by this Friday. Okay, so this December 4th, I have to read about 56 pages a week in order to finish by then. Okay, so that means I have to read, if I have 5 days during the week, I have to read about 10 to 15 pages a day in order to get that accomplished. Okay. So one thing that I like to do is I like to stop at a good breaking point. I don't just like to stop at the beginning of a page or at the end of a page if it's not at a good stopping point for me in the text. So the first thing I'm going to do is look through my book and try to find those natural stopping places. Okay, so when I'm looking at my book right now, chapter 1 is 11 pages, which is perfect. So today on October 12th, I'm going to read pages 1 through 11. So that's chapter 1. Okay, so I'm reading 11 pages. Now on October 13th, I'm going to start on page 12 because that's where I left off. And now I'm going to try to find the next breaking point. Okay, so it looks like Okay, so it looks like there's not going to be a great stopping point for me here, but I'm going to stop on page 19. I know that's only 8 pages of reading, but that's where chapter 3 starts. Chapter 3 starts on page 20. So I might have to read a little bit more on another day to make up for those few pages lost there. So now on Wednesday, I'm going to read pages 20 through 32. So I made up a couple of pages there. I'm reading 12 instead of 10 because that's where chapter 3 ends. October 15th, I'm going to read pages 33 through 41. That's where my chapter 4 ends. And then on Friday, I'm going to read pages 42 through 50. So I'm a couple pages short on my first week because I only read to page 50 and I needed to read through page 56. Again, there wasn't a good stopping point for me on this week, so I just decided that I would rather end at the chapter break than start a new chapter and have to read an extra 10 to 15 pages in order to make that page count, which is fine, but I still have to finish my book by this date. So hopefully maybe over the weekend, I want to read a couple extra pages, or by Monday, I'm going to assign myself a couple extra pages due Monday because I have the flexibility of the weekend. Okay, so here I'm going to start. I'm going to read pages 51 through 74. So like I said, I'm going to recoup some of those lost pages from this week over the weekend and then have a few more pages due on Monday than I normally would want during a normal week. So here I have about 22 pages due that I'm going to be reading. Instead of the normal 10 to 15, like I said, I wanted to read because I'm making up for those pages. Okay, so use the weekends if you need to in order to do that, since you have an extra day or two to read. I know normally we wait until maybe Sunday to start working on our assignments or Monday morning, but if you can, hold yourself to about 10 pages a day, even Saturday and Sunday, you will fly through your book and you'll probably finish maybe even a few days early and not actually have to go all the way to the 4th. Okay, so I'm going to do this for every single day. I'm going to mark out for all 7 weeks every single page that I'm reading, all the way through page 388 here at the bottom. Okay, then as you'll notice, the colors correspond to the boxes down here. Okay, so week 1 is red. If we scroll up to our reading list, week 1 is red. Okay, so I know that this box corresponds with my reading calendar up here of these pages. You are not doing a box for every single day. You're doing a box for the week. So when I look at my pages read, I have to look at what page did I start with on Monday and what page did I end on Friday. So for instance, for my reading schedule, the title of my book is Red Queen. And during week 1, I read from page 1 to page 50. Okay, so each of these weeks, you're going to keep track of how many pages that you read. So then here, week 2, I would start with page 51 through however many pages I read that week, probably somewhere around like 120. Okay, and then for each of these boxes, you should have your pages read, and then the summary of those pages, your passages and discussion questions like you've done before, all the way through to week 7 where you're finishing the book. So I'll read from page whatever to 388 here on this last week. Okay, so again, as you're going through this, you can use that double entry journal that we talked about last week that you did with Positive to help you with your literature circle discussion sheet here. So as you're reading, you can jot down notes, you can jot down passages, you can jot down questions, and then on the end of the week, on that Friday, when you go to turn this in, when you go to submit your discussion sheet, you should be able to really easily fill in those blanks from that double entry journal, and this should take you really no time to fill out. I would say probably what would take you the longest would be your explanation and your answers, because those are going to be things that are not on your double entry journal. You're going to have to add a little bit more on this discussion sheet. Okay, so these are due every Friday. You guys are going to go ahead and submit these every Friday, and we'll be able to see your progress as you continue. And then you guys will be meeting as small groups on Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on what small group you're a part of. You will either be on Tuesday or Wednesday, and we'll just touch base. Hopefully you've already started this by that date, and then you can ask any questions, you can talk about your book, and then the final draft for each week will be due on Friday, okay? And then that kind of refreshes for the new week, and then starting week 2 on Monday, you can start thinking about the next box. Let us know if you have any questions over this, if we can help you in any way. The biggest thing that we want you to do today is just get your entire calendar filled out and then start reading. The rest of the class period is your time to read. And like I said, let us know if you guys have any questions.